Hello, everyone. My name is Eric K. Thomas, editor in chief of The Quintessential Gentleman. And today we are talking to author, motivational speaker, and global thought leader, Mr. 19 Keys. What's going on, my brother? How are you?
Man, I'm blessed, man. How you feeling, good brother?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm happy. It's a little gloomy in these New York these New York streets today,
Yeah, we
but
ain't got much sun outside.
no sun at all. Awesome, awesome. So we're super excited to speak with you today. I appreciate you taking out the time, and I really just want to kind of dive a little deeper into kind of your thought process and how you're able to inspire the Black community and the youth. So,
Yes,
with
sir.
that being said, I just want to kick it off, and I want to, start out and find out what was or what is the origin of your core values. Like, did you learn that from your parents, or did you kind of learn it kind of growing up?
Both, so my parents taught me principles at an early age, mantras at an early age, affirmations, things to live by, right? But then some I've just picked up off the cues of my environment because I've always been very observant and astute, even as a young child. And so one of those, you know, one of my greatest quotes I love to live by is where there's a will, there's a way, right? And for me, it's a representation of, possibility at all turns. If I can think it, it can be done, right? And that's a key for me. And so I've always utilized that thought process in everything that I do. To me, it's like a superpower, right? I don't care. I can lose keys and I say, where there's a will, there's a way. I'm gonna find it, right? And it forces me to adjust in that situation and to be in flow and to get whatever thing that I want to get done. It breaks down all barriers that's in front of me and it creates a clear path, right, for opportunity and execution, right? And so I'm not allowed to think of impossible, right, as impossible. I'm allowed to think of impossible as possible.
Wow. So, what inspired, your quest to ensure that the Black community is really taking control of their spiritual, mental, and financial lives?
Man, growing up and seeing the spiritual, mental, and financial poverty that exists
Mm,
in the environment,
right.
I think if you're a Black man in America, you want to have a mindset to produce change, right?
Mm,
It's just whether you want to develop yourself to be able to be that person that can help produce that change, not only for yourself, but for others,
mm,
right? The spiritual deprivation that's in the hoods throughout America is what causes the mental imbalances as well, right?
mm,
Because when we talk about mental health in America, we don't often talk about spiritual health, right? And we are a spiritual people, not just a mental people, right?
right.
When we talk about, Black men having the highest rates of mental illness and some of the highest rates of suicide in America, why? Because they're spiritually deprived, right?
Mm,
We don't live and exist in environments to where we can spiritually thrive. We can be ourselves. We're tapped into the expression of self, and the environment is connected and conducive to our nature, right? So growing up and seeing so many young men that jump off that porch and they get killed. That's growing up in Oakland and St. Louis. Most of the people I know of, they locked up dead in jail or on drugs or lost
mm,
their mind, right? And so that's a condition. I got 7 brothers, I got
wow.
2 sisters. I come from a big family, and I think statistically how, any one of us can be in those conditions,
Right.
right? And so, and some of my family members are, right? So having that close to home, and also going through experiences as a youngster, going through court cases, right? And, beating that court case. But luckily, that's because I had a great foundation. I had people that could help me get resources, right? But if I didn't have those, then I would have been locked up for any one of those mistakes that I've made or any one of the accusations that I was accused of. But I have a clean record today. You understand me? And I don't have that. But there's a lot of young men and women today that are going through the system without resources, without assistance, and they're pleading out and they're getting thrown into the prison system, right? So, there's a deep part of ourselves that we need to unlock, and that's that savior part of ourselves where we learn how to save ourselves, right? And so if I study the wealth standard of everybody else's community, they learn how to create principles that become guides, that become standards towards building wealth, right? So family, right, principles, to where, you know, there's learning the dynamics of how the man and the woman and the brother and the child. Listen to, I was watching or reading rather, Revolutionary Suicide by Huey P. Newton. And he was giving a breakdown on how he grew up, you know, briefly in the South. And there was ritual where you develop the younger brother to take care of the child, or you develop the older sibling to take care of the child. He said the first thing they did was when that child was born, they would give the child to, I believe he said they were born or when they were very young, get a child to the older sibling to take them outside to walk, right? And they did that first walk with them. And that was a demonstration of like, this is your responsibility, right? To help take care of your younger sibling, right? And just thinking about small rituals like that, right? Like we don't even have that within our culture. We don't have any family structure, dynamics, principles, rituals, order whatsoever. We don't have that towards finance, right? Or about creating business plans and savings plans and financial goals, or setting up trust to pass down generational wealth or life insurance. So when a family member dies, it doesn't become, you know, a hindrance on the family, a financial hindrance. Like there's so many different things that if we had those standards in our culture, it would alleviate most of our issues. Yeah. We have goals in our culture, generational wealth, unity, but we don't have the habits that produce generational wealth and unity. And so if we focus on the habits, right, then that becomes the character of our culture.
So adding, just kind of piggybacking off of that, how do you believe that Black men, what'd you say?
We veggie back, we don't piggyback.
Oh, sorry, veggie back. I apologize. We veggie backing off of what you just said.
Right.
How can Black men win in America? And can we win in America?
Oh, that's a deep question.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna let you know. I got a lot to get from you, and I know you don't have a lot of time, so.
Right. You know, how to win in America. Oh, that's a whole lecture. I think I might have to do a lecture on that.
Okay.
As a Black man, you have to be fearless. You can't win in America if you're fearful. As a Black man, you have to be educated. You cannot win in America if you're a fool. As a Black man in America, you have to develop the characteristics of a man. You cannot win in America as a boy, right? As a Black man in America, you have to be in solidarity with other Black men. You cannot win in America by yourself, right? As a Black man in America, you have to have knowledge of self. You cannot win if you don't know who you are. As a Black man in America, you have to have a vision. You cannot win if you don't have direction. So thinking about winning, you know, the word profit is broken down to where it says that profit is just your percentage of winnings, or margin rather is your percentage of winnings. If you look at it in business terms, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gave a breakdown. He said that business is the activity of life. When a man learns how to manage himself, that's when he's at that man age. Management in business terms is administering your activities to get to set obligation and goals. When you have a goal, you have to develop the habits of the man that can complete that goal. If I want to bodybuild, right, I have to get in the gym every day, right? If I want to be wealthy, I have to focus on wealth every day, right? I have to become an investor. I have to become an entrepreneur, right? That's how I get to wealth. I have to study real estate, study stocks, study investing, right? That's how I get to wealth. If you want to win in America, you have to be unified, but you have to develop the habits of unity, right? What are those habits of unity? It is inclusion, right? Bringing each other to the table, right? It's solidarity, right? Coming together for common goals, right? It's family. Family is the microcosm of the macro, right, of our culture. right? So if you can't be a good brother, right? If you can't be a good son, if you can't be a good spouse, if you can't be a good father, you can't be a good leader, right? If you look at every leader in America, they have a family, right? Because you have to prove you can lead. So the man has to be in a relationship first to prove he can lead. Then the people believe he's qualified to be in public positions. So our vision has to be the vision that we go for. We can't just blindly be in America. I'm gonna get a career and a job and work for somebody else's vision. It's not a black man win in America. That's how visionaries win. Those who hire black men in America. Black men have to be aware of the trappings in America. We are of the highest percentage of crime, the highest percentage of violence, the highest percentage of cancer, diabetes, suicide, domestic violence. We have the worst statistics in every category across the board, according to the US labor statistics, except suicide. And that's where white men have us beat. So we have to develop knowledge of self, create a plan to save ourselves, educate ourselves, utilize technology, collaborate with each other, you understand me, and work together for a common goal and be fearless in our pursuit of winning and freedom.
Wow. When you write that down, pass that out to everybody. It should be part of the manuscript. When you're born in America, we're gonna have a partnership with all the hospitals. Any black man that is born, we're gonna go ahead and drop this off to them. This is the light reading. Y'all need to get them built up on. That was amazing. That was amazing. So my next question is, how do black men get out of our own way?
That's a two-part question I think about. Because when I think about black men getting out our own way, we have to also be in our own way, right? Because who is currently in our way, right? It is ourselves. Then you have the system. We're not setting up anything for ourselves, right, along the way. And most time people say ego, pride, right? Learning conflict resolution. But getting out your own way looks like developing yourself to control your environment, right? Like when I was looking at the issues most black men have, is just mental. Every issue we got is just mental. If it's not physical, it's mental. That's the rule. If it's not physical bondage, it is mental bondage. That is the rule for life, right? If there's nothing physically wrong with that man or where he has a physical trauma, then it is mental. And if it's mental, it can be controlled mentally. It can be fixed mentally. If it's physical, then that's a different situation. So when we talk about black men in America, it's a mentality shift that we have to go through, right? We have to, number one, we talked about being fearless and being courageous. You have to be a man first, right? You can't be a gentleman until you're a man first, right? The man part is more important than being gentle because a man is his mind. So when you go on that journey of developing yourself, you have to develop grit, right? You have to develop perseverance. You have to be willful, right? Meaning that you have to say be and it is. You have to have control over self. If you can't control self, you can't do anything. We overdrink, we oversmoke, we overengage in escapism. We have to learn how to fast. If we can let go of those things, we can see what controls us and we can finally be in control of ourselves, right? So black men in America just have to make the decision. It's a decision that we have to make inside ourselves, right? Of self and dignity, to where we have to go in and we have to decide that we are going to control our future. It's not dependent from my past or anything. I'm now in control. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, we have to stick together. I was talking with Dame Dash, and he said, you know, you never seen us say, you know, we stuck together and it was whack. That didn't work out. It don't work out like that. No, when black men stick together, we win. When black men get with their women, black women, and we are back in our roles of protection, she's no longer unprotected. The black women, when black women say she's unprotected, she's saying that her protector is no longer working. He's no longer on his job. That's what that statement is. When she says she's disrespected, she's saying that you're not respected, right? So we have to focus on building things, right? Not just being consumers. We have to focus on stop following trends, but creating them. We have to focus on following that God spark within us, right? And executing from a place of vast fearlessness. Back again to Huey P. Newton in A Revolutionary Suicide, he gave a breakdown. He said, there's reactionary suicide and revolutionary suicide. The reactionary suicide, you would think of a beggar being swept out of a barbershop asking for money, versus a revolutionary suicide would have to be kicked out by force, right? And his breakdown was speaking upon anybody that rebels against the system, right? They would say that that's suicidal, right? But there are men who die because of the system that's reactionary, right? So because you go through systematic oppression, because of the violent statistics and the environment that oppresses you, that's a reactionary suicide to the system. The revolutionary suicide is the rebellion to want to change the system, the willingness to fight for your own freedom while you're alive. They call that suicidal because they try to make you feel fearful. And he said, I took these two things and put them together for a reason. Because at the same time, if you call this suicidal, then you have to call every other people that ever fought for their freedom suicidal. So, but their story is told in heroics, right? So the black man in America has to not be afraid of death if he ever wants to live life, right? Because we are afraid way too much. They put fear in the food. They put fear in us when we little boys, right? They put fear everywhere as a campaign, that if you stand up, that if you speak up, that if you speak out, that if you're truthful, they're going to come for you. So what, right? Because I know so many black men that were killed, that were murdered, that were thrown in jail. They weren't revolutions. They were reactions to the environment. I would rather those men had died martyrs, doing something good for their community, than to die criminals, doing something bad against their community.
Definitely hear you, understand. When you were speaking, I think about this ideology of kind of the white man, where it's, you're looking to get a business loan, go to this bank over here and tell them, and go see Bill, right, and tell him that John sent you. And they do that all the time. But for black men, we never do that. We never look out for the other one and say, hey, you're looking for this, you need help? Go talk to my boy and tell him that, Eric sent you and he's going to take care of you, right? And that is the mentality that I always say this, that I wish we had, and we need to start focusing on, is helping out and stop feeling like we are the only one and there can only be one.
Right. It's not about the one, it's about the ones. The beauty of 19 keys is that, the 1 through 9, it represents all ones. 2 represents 2 ones, 3 is 3 ones, 4 is 4 ones, 5 is 5 ones, up until 9 ones. Each number just represents ones. That's it. It is counting the amount of ones. In a pyramid, in any structure, when you look at it, you're looking at the top, there's 1, and then coming down, there's all the ones. Those are the foundation, right? The one at the top looks like the most important, but really the bottom is the foundation. It's the most important, because without it, there's no top. Right. So when I think about that, our ego is an individualism, that everybody needs to surround me, right? Instead of tribalism, what I do is for the good of our people. What I do is to add to the tribe, right? Everybody wants the tribe to revolve around them. No, that's not the way it works. So I don't have to be the only one. I'm a part of the ones, because in the universe is made up of all ones. The sun is just one, but then there will be no night sky without the rest of the stars. The sun's light does not reach everywhere. Where it does not reach, the other stars serve to reach every area that it doesn't reach. Where my light doesn't reach, your light can reach, right? So I bow down to what you have that I don't have, right? That's what we practice. Dr. Wesley called it the Black God Protocol. Each one has a frequency that we bow down to each other. You understand me? It keeps my cup empty. I'm constantly emptying it, and I can learn from you now. I can build with you now. I work with my brother Amechi. He is an amazing editor and producer of my show. I could not do it without him. So I have to bow down to his mastery, right? He can't do what I do, and I can't do what he do. And when we recognize that within each other, we have respect for each other, right? And so we have to stop this structure of top down, but we have to create it to where it's horizontal. You understand me? Like, no, we working side by side, right? And it's not saying that we're all equal, we're all different by different degrees, but we respect the degrees of differentiation.
Oh, perfect. Now, my next question was what ideology you wish Black people would stop living by, and now it kind of sounds like you answered a little bit. Talk about individualism and then more tribalism. So we got that one perfect. Now I want to talk a little bit about lyric reform, and I would like to know if you could just explain how you believe lyric reform will help save Black men in the hip hop culture.
So it's two parts to that. It is lyric reform and it is reforming the frequency that we utilize in those lyrics, but it all sort of holistic. So lyric reform comes from the idea that when a person is listening to music, binaural beats, right? Binaural beats can tune the mind to be at different states of consciousness. We can go from gamma to beta, right? Meaning that we are at a point of heightened awareness of everything. At gamma, that's the highest point, right? Then we can be at a point of like close to sleep, right? Where we are at beta, right? Where we're sort of unconscious. And that's when the brain kind of, that awareness brain kind of sleeps and you can be more in a suggestive state. Music is tuned to put you in that suggestive state by the frequencies, the binaural beats. You have one frequency in one ear and the other ear. So, one would be attuned at one frequency in the left, and this is what most people don't know about beats. One is at one frequency, the other is at another frequency. And what the brain hears is the middle of that. So if one is at 432 and one is at 442, you're going to hear 10 hertz, right? And that's what is tuning, right? The brain consciousness to be in this state of suggestiveness. So I say all that to say, when you're in that state of suggestibility and you're listening to the lyrics and it's kill, death, murder, drugs, sex, violence, kill, death, murder, sex, violence, revenge, right? Now, what sort of state are you in? What is your subconscious brain being fed to? And at the same time, the state that is putting you in is not allowing you to be very emotional resilient. You're in a triggering state, right? So you're just listening to that music. Now somebody makes you mad. Now you jumping at that, right? Instead of having the emotional resilience to be like, don't bother me. When you're in that state of calm and you're in that state of chi and focus, right? Ain't nothing can bother you. But why is it? Dr. Wester gave a good breakdown on this. I was listening to him the other day because I had talked about, binaural beats, but I loved his breakdown. And he was explaining how somebody steps on your foot and all of a sudden you get angry, right? Why? If you was in this state of calmness, imagine you just won the lotto. Imagine if, you just meditated for an hour. Somebody did that. You know what? Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. But if you were sitting there, you just listening to drill music, man, what's wrong with you? You jumping at that state, right? So the lyric reform is, if I'm listening to Kendrick ain't gonna put me into that state of over aggressiveness. He gonna put me in a state of empathy and understanding, right? That's why I say it's two parts, right? It's understanding the awareness of what the music is putting us into. The state of the music is actually training our brains into so that you can understand where you are at. And by that awareness, you're not allowing your brain to sleep, right? Because this is the thing with the new music nowadays, it's all about the beat, right? They're not really saying nothing. So when you listening to it for the beat, what's that beat doing? It's putting you in this chill mode. You just listening. You just sitting there agreeing with whatever. You bobbing your head in a state of agreement constantly. Like, okay, yeah, what you say? Kill him, kill who? Right? And so the lyrics is a background noise to a death culture, right? Hip hop started off. I just did the Math Hoffa show, and we was talking about this. Like, is hip hop a cure or cancer? And it's not as black and white. Hip hop started off as, a rebellion, a cure, right? Fight the power that be, right? And now it's saying, fuck them niggas. It went from fuck the police to fuck them niggas, right? So what does that mean? It went from us rebelling against the system to us rebelling against each other, right? It went against us from having a vision for us to be able to create systematic and social change, right? Until us destroying each other, right? It went from a system of unity to gangs, right? Even though the gang started off as a unified effort, but everything was turned backwards. Everything that we created as a cure became a cancer, right? So we have to get back. We're not going to go back to the golden era of hip hop where, it's fight the power that beat. It's not going to be that kind of rhythm, but it can be the Coles and the Kendricks, the Ampuls and the Jack Hella classics, right? People that still sound fly. Because I went to the Math Hoffa interview and shout out to them. I could walk in there, they playing Common. I don't listen to Common. Shout out to Common, but I don't listen to Common. I like listening to fly music as well. You understand me? But at the same time, have a message with it. It's putting the medicine in the candy jar, right? If a person is listening to you and they're in a state of suggestibility, at least have one thing in there that's good. It's the Kanye West method. Most of the song probably won't even be positive, but he gonna have one or two bars that's gonna hit. And it's gonna have you thinking about that consistently. Because while I got your attention, I might as well do something with it.
Very true, very true. So tell us about your book, Paradigm Keys, and what we can learn from reading those pages.
Man, Paradigm Keys, man. Thanks. That's a good question. Because I'm actually working on a few books this year. One of them is about high level thinking. One of a self-titled book is 19 Keys, High Level Observations. But Paradigm Keys is the beginner's guide to that, right? So it's giving you that intro. If a person wants something quick, easy, digestible, practices and thought processes that they can utilize to transform their thinking, right? To renew their thinking. That's what Paradigm Keys is all about. Most people, after they're listening to or reading it, they will say it changed the way that they think about life. It gives them new perspective. All right. I even give different routines that you can practice because that's what it is. A paradigm is the change of your habits. It's a change of your frequency. And so one of my most popular quotes is what you do frequently becomes your frequency, right? If you want to be smart, read, right? Like the average person, they say read less than 19 minutes a day, right? And I'm not saying it because I'm 19 Keys. That's the U.S. labor statistics. I just always remember them 19 quotes.
Right.
But
I see.
reading is the development, right, of your mind because you're using the left and right hemisphere of the brain, right? And so now your brain is more active. The reading mind is the most dangerous mind, right? That's the powerful mind. That's the mind that's always working and seeing things from different perspectives. It has things at the forefront of the mind. A person that reads always has something to say, right? Because there's always something in their mind, right? So we talk about the school system. We talk about the different thinking types in there, the abstract thinker versus the technical thinker. We talk about this new dawn of enlightenment that we entering. I give a lot of different concepts that I have and things that if you take that, you can apply directly into your life right afterwards, right? So it's a quick read, easy digestible. It's a manual for transformation quickly, right? Mentally.
So you recently tweeted, make sure I get the tweet right. It says some people spend too much time trying to find purpose when they just need to find a work ethic. Can you explain that? Explain that that thought process for me?
That was birthed out of the frustration of seeing what I call paradigm quotes. Paradigm quotes are quotes that are traditional quotes that we just take on and everybody says them. They're not your own. They're not original, right? They come from this place of being passed down. So people are always talking about, I need to find my purpose. And those people that be talking about that often don't do nothing. A lot of times they lazy and they make the excuse that, oh, I haven't found my purpose yet. So they're not doing it. And so this excuse comes in front of them putting themselves into a workflow. Work is how you develop your purpose. Purpose is not found, it is developed. Form meets function. Like if when I always use the example of what is the purpose of a remote control? The way you find a purpose of a remote control, if you didn't know what the purpose of, you will pick it up, you start pressing the buttons, and all of a sudden the TV come on. You start pressing other buttons, it flips the channel. And you say, oh, well, this is its function, then that must mean that that is its purpose, right? Function meets purpose. So when you are working, it helps you find your purpose through your functions. I am good at this. Oh, wow, I'm good at this. Maybe I'm made for this, right? I am good at this and it makes me feel good. Now it feels purposeful because it is fulfilling and I am good at it. So I'm feeling good about myself while doing it. Then that still puts you in a state of flow, right? Feeling good and doing good. Flow is when challenge meets skill, right? So being in this state of having a work ethic, that's how I developed myself. I've been working since I was a child. I was hustling at 5 years old, selling toys to other children, right? I was snubbling show or shoveling snow outside, you know what I mean, the streets in St. Louis, you know, as a teenager, right? I go in there, I get me the Epsom salt, not the Epsom salt, but the rock salt and the shovels. And I go to the big neighborhoods where I know they'd pay me 25, 30, sometimes $50 because they had the longer driveways, right? I was never afraid to hustle in the coldest climates. I sold weed, right? Weed is legal now, but when I sold it, it was illegal, right? I just didn't make no excuses. I had jobs, right? My whole entire life, right? And so when I finally decided to fire my boss, it was after I developed a work ethic and I knew what I was good at. I knew I was great at communication, knew I was great at sales, I knew I was great at marketing, branding, product development, design. I learned all that from taking that from my job, right? So whether you're developing a job for yourself to work and develop your skills to know what you're good at, right? That helps you know the function of who you are as a human being, which says that, damn, if you are a singer, it is very easy to know one of your purposes because you can have many. If I am a great singer, one of my purpose must be music, right? If I'm a great communicator, one of my purpose must be speaking. Now, what can I do with my purpose is the key, right? So what I can do is, last year my focus was to become a great communicator. This year my focus is become a master teacher, right? So your purpose can develop, it can change as your functions develop and change. So focus on function, right? Of who you are, what you do, and purpose will follow. But you can't do anything without working.
So you have already amassed a level of success and continue to grow, and your awareness and people being, more people being aware you are, and your influence is growing. What tools in your toolbox that you use to keep you grounded?
That's a great question. To being surrounded by good people, right? Like the people that I travel with, my brother Steve, my brother Mechi. Been knowing Mechi for about 6 years now. I've been knowing Steve since I was a child, right? These are people that know me. You understand me? These are people that help check me as I move on. They help me check myself, right? Being surrounded by good people is a hack to life, right? Being surrounded by people who know you, that's not afraid to tell you the truth, is a hack to life, right? And that keeps me grounded. But at the same time, being connected to God, right? And being God fearing, right? Keeps me grounded because I believe in a higher power than myself, right? When you believe you are the only higher power, there's nothing to check you. You go unhindered, right? Waka Flocka once told me something. He said, you have to be careful of the clouds. He said, you can get so busy that your head stays in the clouds, right? And you forget what you're doing it for. You have to make sure that you remind yourself of the root, right? Why you even got started. Most people find themselves so successful that they're just maintaining the clouds. They're just maintaining the success, but they forgot why they started in the first place. So they're no longer happy, but they're successful, right? And so the goal is to remind yourself what started this journey, because that is the person, right, that will keep me happy. That is the reason that I got in this in the first place. And you can never forget that. You have to constantly remind yourself, why did I start this? That pulls you back, that grounds you, that anchors you. You understand me? Constantly reminding you, I wear this crown. And, you know, I'm a designer as well. So I design everything that I create, from my product lines, right? So whether it's, you know, or as we're going on the show and helping produce that, right, to the crown itself, because I'm developing different iterations this year. You know, that process of today, I was putting on my crown, and, you know, I was speaking affirmations over it as I was putting it on. Like, today, as I wear my crown, it representation is that I have not earned this crown yet. I am earning this crown, right? So even in wearing this crown, it is a grounding ritual, right? It is reminding me of something that I'm going towards, right? It is to be the one who has properly earned it, because I put it on my head. Nobody put it on me. So how do you earn something that wasn't given? Right? So you have to go on that journey of developing yourself to be worthy of being crowned, right? That's that process. So even things in my environment, the things that I wear, the people that I'm around, right? My faith, my background, my beliefs, these are the things that keep me grounded to the journey. I don't think I'm the chosen one. I think I'm one of the ones.
You got I'm like taking all of it in, also still trying to do my job. It's
Yes, sir.
challenging. Also, so can you tell us a little bit about the upcoming partnership that you have with Black World Order and Cheat Codes?
Yeah. So I have a few different partnerships right now because I'm heavy on collaboration.
Mhm.
EYL, High Level Conversations. Oasis is a real estate investment fund. And then BWO is the education side of the movement, right? That's where we have our large community. Cheat Code is my African brothers, right? One is Nigerian, one is Liberian. And they started a program around financial literacy towards investing, stock trading, Forex, right? Different investing tools. And they developed a beautiful community. They developed their own trading algorithm program that they have. And it was widely successful. And I've been following them for years, and I love what they were doing. I tried to partner with some people before in the BWO, and I picked the wrong people to partner with. And God set me down and gave me a great lesson with that. And I said, the next time I partner with somebody, I have to make sure I pick the right people for the right reasons.
Right.
And so vetting them and making sure that they already had a program, they have a proven track record, they're reputable, right? That's why I chose to partner with Quay and Jehu. They can do things that I can't do. I want to be able to focus on developing the community mentally and getting us prepared with the skill sets for the future. So the technology and the mindset is where I focus at, right? Getting people ready. Like we're doing this high level challenge, which is about developing a person to becoming a high level being. Most people can only think of one solution to a problem. A high level thinker can think of multiple solutions to a problem, right? A high level thinker that's just not a dreamer, they're a doer, right? A high level thinker is not a procrastinator, they're an executor, right? A high level thinker, you know, is one who is not fearful. They have the courage to go out there consistently every day. They have the grit, they have the passion, they have the perseverance, they have the willfulness. A high level thinker is just that. So in BWO, week to week, we're taking our students through this journey in this session of teaching them the sciences, teaching them the techniques, helping them develop as a community amongst themselves. Because I would think the most important thing is not courses right now, it's community. Being surrounded by like-minded individuals whom you can develop yourself in within that experience, right? And so what people say is the most valuable thing about college, when you be like, well, college institutions are not that great. They say, well, what about the experience? So we say, well, we're going to develop that experience to eliminate that excuse for people to have to go into debt to get a college experience to develop themselves, right? We learn better in environments where we are surrounded by other people that are learning with us, right? It allows us to teach, to give game, and it allows us to get game from others, right? So we can be a student and a teacher at the same time inside a community. So that's the beautiful thing of seeing the community thrive. We've been teaching them how to utilize AI tools. They've been monetizing it, creating more efficient businesses. We've been teaching them mental tools they can utilize to develop themselves, to get over themselves and have those transformations that they've been looking for and finally meet those goals and challenges and get over those. And you know, we have mental optimization, we have physical fitness, we have financial engineering, right? And then I'm bringing my brother in to do some spiritual coaching where he's even taking them through meditations and mudras and different things that people can throw into their spiritual bag. I brought in Lloyd Strayhorn. He was teaching our students the numerology and the life path numbers. So that was kind of like a fun class. And then, you know, I'm utilizing all my resources and people that I know. And it's a membership. So you have access, same way you have access to Soho House or something. And you have access to, you know, everything, all the tools, everything that's inside it. So yes, we have an event coming up in Houston where we have the release of our app, which is our community app, which also has our AI tools in it, our resources, certain access only perks that you're going to get from being part of that, you know, community on our application. And it was important that we have our own app because, you know, we focus on Web3, we focus on blockchain, we focus on AI, we focus on developing ourselves to be the most capable. So, you know, we're going to be in Houston and that's going to be actually a free event. First, you know, we fill it up with our members and then the rest of the seats we give to the public because, you know, this goal this year is doing a lot more philanthropy work, right? During 2020, I was able to do a lot of philanthropy work and I've been so busy developing, right? And I want to actually put this note out there for people because I think this is important. And I was in Oakland, I met this young brother. I was going to visit his shop. When I go to Oakland, I like to support the local, you know, businesses and vendors. Right. So when I go out there, I make it a point to go there. When I was going there, his shop had been shut down, right? He said he was moving. And he said, man, I've been trying to do so much for the community, right? And that's what I've been focused on. But the business had been suffering. And I want us to realize that business is about profit, right? But you can do social entrepreneurship, which means you can do a social good and make profit. But if you don't develop a business that is profitable, you cannot do for the community, right? And so sometimes we put our heart first, right? But what you have to make sure is that if you develop a profitable business, guess what? You have resources. Now, the longer you stay in business, the more the community benefits, right? So like when I'm teaching my students, I want you to put all your heart and your passion and your philanthropic ideas and desires into it, but I want you to have the business knowledge, right? So that you can make it profitable and successful at the same time, right? So therefore we can have a thriving community of good-hearted business people who actually care about the community and they're thriving in business for longevity.
Definitely understand that. And my last question for you is, what can we look forward to from Mr. 19 Keys?
We have a lot of beautiful things coming up soon. Like I said, I have some books coming out. We're doing a high-level tour. That's going to be great. We have some international dates and we have a lot of domestic dates. We're actually kicking it off in Oakland, February 21st with Dane Dash. So it's going to be an experience. I think he said he's going to bring his band out. Going to be a high-level conversation. I think there might even be a screening for one of his movies that he got coming out. We really want to bring this experience to people live in person, right? It's like sort of being able to replace a concert, right? But you come there, you learn, you get to develop yourself. You see in the Oasis, which is a real estate fund that I'm involved in. We just did an event called Rebuild Chicago, right? They have a program where, you know, they take young students, house them, and then they teach them, you know, the real estate field, construction, how to gut a home, build it, right? And then take them through a program to where, you know, you can rent to own, right? So you leave with skills, you leave with the opportunity to become an owner. And then that is currently the only Black Class A regulated SEC real estate fund in the country. And our goal is to find properties, find projects, invest in them together, and own Black America together. You know, one of the visions is become Black America's biggest landlord, right? Imagine if we paid rent to each other, right? That would change and that will create the circulation of the Black dollar. So we have worked with Revolt on that project. Shout out to my brother Fahim and Amir, who are the founders of that project. And, you know, they have a $10 million real estate portfolio that allowed them to leverage that to create the opportunity to create this SEC Class A regulated fund. And they went through that progress. And so I partnered with them on that because I love when people take the initiative and I can come in and help and assist. So we traveling around the country. You know, we've had a lot of people, you know, share and show interest in it. A lot of celebrities, we going through their different neighborhoods. They showing us what they own. T.I., you know, we had Diddy share. We had a lot of different people, but you know, the goal now is to focus on ownership, focus on controlling our future, you know, and that's what we're going towards. We have a Man to Man podcast with my brother Steve, which is more of a relaxed version of high level conversations where we get to tackle a lot of different current topics and we just speak like men. You know, it's no holds bar. It's a more relaxing. Most people don't notice about me, you know, but when you figure this out, brother Eric, and this is serious, very serious, and this is the point. I'm actually one of the funniest men on earth. You know, up there next to Dave Chappelle. Up there next to Eddie Murphy. I'm right up there.
Right, okay.
So, you know, I get to bring some of my humor to this show a lot. And I think that, you know, you get to see a relaxed side because everybody thinks, what do you do for fun? Like, bro, I live. Like, I enjoy life. Like, you know, amongst our team, like, it's humor, you know, like, so I think that's important because people feel like, you know, this work requires you to just be stern and serious at all times. Mm-hmm. If you don't enjoy the work, it will kill you. I don't care if the work is good or not. So you have to enjoy what you do. In order to be in joy, you have to be present, right? Because joy can only be felt in the present, right? So I wanted to leave people with that message. Man, I look forward to more high-level conversations. We have movies and documentaries, and we're working on some projects to create institutions and collaborate with different partners and different sponsors of the show. So, you know, I have a lot of speaking engagements coming up. We have something coming up in Toronto soon, so look out for that. But yeah, it's going to be a very productive year. So, man, thank you for having me on, and thank you for being a quintessential gentleman.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it, my brother. Thank you for this conversation. It was just, the gems is just dropped all over. And that's me right. Going to listen to this again, it's gonna be amazing, and I'm excited for everybody to hear it. But definitely, thank you for taking out the time. I know you're extremely busy, and I appreciate you allowing us to feature you, man. This was amazing.
Absolutely, man. You know, people used to tell me back in the day when I was first starting off, man, I know you're extremely busy. At the time, I wasn't. But now I actually am. So
right. I get it. I
appreciate it.
Of course. Well, thank you so much. And you know, we'll definitely set everything up with Nick and get images and all that stuff and get it live. But thank you again.
Absolutely, man. You have a beautiful and blessed day, brother.
You too. Thank you.